Morning, everybody. How are y'all doing today? I'm not doing very well right now because, in all honesty, we just got some of the worst news I think I've ever heard in the history of YouTube. And that is, of course, if you guys have heard by now, obviously YouTube has decided to side with Quantum TV and has claimed he is doing absolutely nothing wrong, even though he is word for word violating their own terms of service. They are refusing to enforce those rules, and I'm honestly just baffled beyond belief. So just fair warning, you guys probably know me for being a pretty chill dude most of the time, but I'm going to be seriously pissed off in this video. Just fair warning, like I'm already getting pissed off just like doing this intro. But yeah, anyway, Quantum, of course, now, thanks to YouTube, for whatever reason, allowing him to exist on this platform despite him breaking tons of their terms of service, is now taking a victory lap and has uploaded a video because now he 100% has been confirmed basically by YouTube that apparently he's doing nothing wrong, even though he's obviously done like countless things wrong at this point. But I don't want to keep this intro too long because honestly this video is going to be extremely painful to make. So yeah, let's just get into this video.
Over the last few months, I've been getting slandered and maliciously attacked by the audience of Review Tech USA, The Act Man, Mischief, and a few other YouTubers who wanted to run with the line, Quantum TV is a copyright abuser.
Well, it's not slander when it's an objective fact, and I find this very funny considering you slandered Westside Tech and Review Tech USA, calling them pedophiles with literally zero evidence whatsoever. So do you really have a right to call other people out for slandering you when you were the only one who was slandering anyone in this entire situation? And this is what I mean. Throughout the video, you guys will notice he almost admits in a way that like he has committed several felonies at this point, and YouTube is doing jack about it. Like, honestly, YouTube, I have never been more disappointed in you guys. Like, you guys honestly have failed as a platform officially. Like, I thought, like, think about it this way. Leafy, like, now, I gotta say this right now. I never watched Leafy's content. I know I like had sort of a similar video style to him. I know he sort of spawned the commentary community, but I never really watched him. The only time I really heard about him was when he got banned. But just think about this. He had 0 community guideline strikes and had 0 warnings whatsoever, and then his channel was just terminated immediately, and YouTube gave no reasons or anything like that. Meanwhile, Quantum has violated like pretty much half the community guidelines at this point, like, and we have proof of everything he's ever done, and he's ban evading on top of all that, which is the biggest thing. Like, even if you put aside everything else this dude has done, he is still ban evading because he had a previous channel get banned from the platform. So there is literally no excuse for him to still be on the platform, but he's still allowed to be completely free out here. So honestly, YouTube, you are honestly pathetic at this point.
They've really been playing heavy into that, and today, YouTube has vindicated Quantum TV. Now, they won't come out and directly say that they were wrong and they completely created this slander campaign because they didn't like being told no. But that's exactly what happened, and I'm glad that YouTube finally did the right thing for once.
In no way did they do the right thing. Like, I'm going to put this screenshot up right now. You can see this is of the Act Man's community post where he announced that YouTube had sided with Quantum. You can just read this email. This is an absolute joke. I refuse to believe any human beings actually looked at the list of crimes that Quantum has committed at this point. I'm pretty sure they just ran it by a bot who's supposed to, like, let people off no matter what they do, and then they were like, oh yeah, no, he's completely okay, he hasn't actually done anything wrong. And this is what's so annoying about this, is that now he's gonna have the biggest grin on his face for the rest of this entire controversy, and until YouTube actually bans him, he's gonna actually think that he was in the right, which we all know he's not. But he thought he was in the right this whole time, and this is just gonna reinforce that. So thank you so much, YouTube.
And if we read what YouTube says directly, the most important thing is, after reviewing additional YouTube links that you sent us, our specialist team did not find any violations of our community guidelines standards. So basically, all that talk of all those other things that you claim that I've done, you're wrong.
And this is where I just get so genuinely confused, I don't even know what to say. Like, how is it possible that YouTube looked at this man false copyright striking videos, and he's currently ban evading. So let's just put everything else aside, that he's like all the horrible things he said on other platforms, because technically that's out of YouTube's control. Even if we put all that aside, he still false copyright strike people, which is illegal, and he is ban evading, which is against YouTube TOS. I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but there has to be something going on at YouTube. I don't know if this is like as a result of him pulling the race card or something like that, or if it's just because he's paying off YouTube support or something. Like, I don't know. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there is something seriously wrong going on. There is no way this actually got legitimately through.
Remember when I told you all in the beginning, watch YouTube tell you what I already know? There's a reason I've been so confident this entire time, and it's because
you're a narcissistic, egotistical scumbag who, no matter what anyone says, you're always going to think you're in the right. And now that YouTube told you you're right, even though they know damn well you're not right, you're going to actually think you are. Again, I'm actually at a loss for words. I don't even know what question I could begin to ask that YouTube could possibly answer that could ever lead to justifying them reviewing someone who was breaking TOS and then saying, yeah, he's breaking TOS, but no.
I genuinely have proof that I, A, was hacked, B, did disavow those tweets, and also in addition to that, I don't think you guys know this, YouTube doesn't mediate for off-platform stuff. So if you have a problem with me, you need to take it up with like Reddit, Discord. They can't be responsible for what happens on other people's platform, right? That also is a thing.
Here's the problem with that, dude. Even if we ignore what you've done on other platforms, you've still done and said horrible things on YouTube. For example, the false copyright striking. You've also been openly racist on this platform, calling Catwoman's actress a half-breed. You are still a piece of garbage on this platform, even if, like, again, let's pretend none of the other stuff even happened. You're still a piece of garbage, even if we pretend none of that other stuff happened. So I don't really see how this is helping you. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. Let's not forget that time you doxed another YouTuber and gave out his personal phone number. Like, are you kidding me, dude? So you did that on this platform. So, I mean, by your own logic, I will be happy to take that up with YouTube, because they can regulate that because it is their platform.
But in addition to that, like, there's so much proof on my end that I've refused to show you all because I knew how you would take it. And I tested you all. I put out a little bit of truth here and there. I released a phone call of me talking to the act man, being sweet as pumpkin pie to the mother, calling her ma'am, saying, would you please put me in contact with him? I mean no malice.
I like how he leaves out the part where he said we wouldn't want families to get hurt. You know, that veiled threat that he kept claiming wasn't a veiled threat. But if it wasn't a veiled threat, you probably should have said it right there, buddy, because honestly, like, let's be real. You knew it was a veiled threat. That's why you didn't include it in your little, like, spiel right there about what you said to her. But also, yeah, you released that phone call, which violates Florida's two-party consent laws. So, and I remember I did research for this in a previous video. That can end you up to 5 years in jail. So you really should be in jail or prison right now, honestly. And that's another reason why I'm so baffled. This dude is actually a federal criminal, and YouTube has done nothing.
I was genuinely trying to work things out. And you know what they did? They twisted it and said, veiled threats of violence and doxing, and I can confirm Quantum is threatening my mother. I would love to know what threats I made specifically, number one. And number two, if you genuinely felt like I was threatening you, why didn't you call the police? Why aren't the police involved? I've challenged you multiple times to call the police, and you haven't because you lied, because you were embarrassed that I called your mother.
Yeah, and how do you know he didn't call the police? I guarantee he probably did call the police. I've said this in previous videos, and they're probably investigating it as we currently speak. Because at this point, the act man would quite honestly be an idiot to not call the police. And also, I guarantee he did, and he's just not saying it because, you know, when you are working with the police on an investigation, you're not really supposed to make that public knowledge until the police are ready to release information about it. You know, that's kind of something that's, you know, common within police investigations. And I've even pointed this out in previous videos. You said you had a detective working on this case. Like, someone pointed out in the comments on one of my previous videos, if that was really the case, you wouldn't have said anything. So that was a threat right there. You say, oh, when did I make these threats? You basically threatened him saying that you hired a detective and you were going to get him arrested. So, yeah, there you go. There's your threat.
Now, some people might be watching and being like, why'd you even call this mother in the first place? This is a dispute between two men.
Not gonna lie, that sounds like a pretty good question because you are a grown man who got so butthurt that somebody criticized your video and didn't agree with your take that you actually tracked down his mother's phone number and the dude's personal home address. Like, how is this dude not in jail? I still don't get it.
If you saw other videos I've uploaded, I was receiving all kinds of death threats, black people hanging from trees off of nooses, and a litany of racist crap because of his videos, and they were all in the name of Act Man.
Dude, how do you even know that they were in the name of the Act Man? Like, there are just some really sick people out there who just send stuff like that because they are genuinely sick human beings. Also, I like how he puts that little which he is yet to disavow. Dude, he doesn't need to disavow crap. Why would he need to apologize for something he didn't do? Those are just some sick people who might be in his audience. He never said that or sent that to you himself. Stop blaming the Act Man for things that a very few amount of very sick people on the internet do. It's not cool, dude.
Now, I tried to reach out to him because surely no person can be this depraved. He surely doesn't know his audience is doing this, but he does know. Because upon finding that out, not only did him and Mischief just kind of allude to the fact that, oh, he could be sending this to himself with their attitudes and their behavior, but it's just kind of like twisting everything even further, which let me know that no matter what I said, this was going to constantly turn into paint him as the bad guy. So I didn't even try.
Did you guys catch that immediate contradiction right there? Because honestly, the first time I watched this, I actually didn't catch that. But he said he reached out to them, and he was like, oh, they couldn't possibly know about this, and that's why they're not disavowing it, which, once again, they don't need to apologize for something their fans said. Not once did the Act Man ever send his fans to say that horrible stuff to you or send that horrible stuff to you. That was all on their own accord, so you can crap on those people if you want, but you cannot blame the Act Man for that. But again, did you guys catch that? He said, oh yeah, I reached out to them to let them know about this, but then literally like 5 seconds later said, oh yeah, I didn't even try. So which one is it, dude? Did you reach out to them or not? Again, you're proving yourself to be nothing but a pathologically lying piece of garbage.
If you're going to constantly say whatever you want, I know the truth, and when an unbiased party steps in, I know justice would be done. And that's exactly what happened here. Let me tell you what YouTube said. Regarding your claims of abusive takedown requests, I can also confirm our copyright team reviewed all the details you provided and determined that there were no violations.
I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but honestly, this video is kind of my way of venting about this whole topic, so I'm just going to say it again. I'm sorry if I'm getting repetitive, but how is this possible? I don't understand. Like the Act Man said in his community post, if Quantum is just allowed to do this and they're just blatantly not going to enforce their own rules and just kind of, I guarantee at this point they just have those rules written down so they can't get in any trouble with like the government or something like that, so they can say like, hey, look, we have all these great rules in place, but then we're just not going to enforce them. And honestly, like the Act Man said, this sets a horrible precedent for the future and for what people are going to be allowed to get away with on this platform in the future. This is terrible, especially when it comes to something as serious as copyright, because like it says in this email, you know, oh yeah, his request was denied. I don't care that his request was denied. That's not good enough. He blatantly broke the law and knew what he was doing, and then he tried to claim he wasn't breaking the law. At this point, I'm convinced that Quantum just lied so much that someone at YouTube was so stupid that they actually started to believe his lies.
So all that smoke that Mischief pumped up every single one of you guys' asses, talking about Quantum's a copyright abuser, YouTube in writing told you that you're wrong, and there was in fact no violation.
Yeah, well, I could have sworn earlier in this video you were saying that, like, oh, for once YouTube did the right thing, as in implying that they always get this stuff wrong. So wouldn't that imply that this was wrong as well? Like, there is something seriously sneaky and suspicious going on at YouTube. I don't know what it is. Again, call me a conspiracy theorist if you want, but something is not adding up here.
They go on to say the copyright submissions made by the other creator were valid, and though they may have been rejected, they were a fair request for review. In line with our copyright policy, whenever a copyright submission is accepted, we give the affected party a chance to submit a counter notification. I understand this is not the outcome you were looking for, but I want to reiterate that our specialist team investigated the claims that you shared, and our decision stands. If you would like to schedule a phone call, share additional feedback, thoughts on your experience with YouTube, then please let me know. But note, our phone call discussion will not change the decision as outlined above.
Except, fun fact, according to YouTube's own terms of service, it was not a fair request. By their own terms of service, copyright abuse and false copyright striking people can lead to your channel getting terminated. Again, for the 50 millionth time, what is going on at YouTube that could have possibly led them to make this decision? Also, I love that middle finger they give to Actman at the end saying, hey, yeah, you can call us about that if you want, but you know what? It's not going to change anything. Like, screw you too, YouTube.
So what this basically means is YouTube told you about yourself. You basically went on the platform, you said behind all your fans and all your reputation, I will get your channel taken down. That's what you said. That video has like over 1 million views on it. I know you must be very embarrassed that you couldn't get the job done. Neither could Review Tech USA with his YouTube contacts, apparently.
Well, like the Act Man said in his community post, the Act attorney never loses a case. Just because YouTube gave him the middle finger this time doesn't mean we're not going to keep fighting for it. And I say we because I want, honestly, everyone who's covering this and all of their communities, like, we all just need to come together and speak out against this, because this is genuinely ridiculous that they are not enforcing their own copyright rules. And again, even if you want to put aside the fact that they're not enforcing their own rules, they're also not enforcing the official law of the United States itself. Dude, this platform is an absolute joke.
And all the other people with their YouTube contacts you guys have to understand, you are just users. You do not have the power to snap your fingers and point to YouTube and sick them on creators you don't like. This concept is something you're not understanding. YouTube is telling you you're wrong. You can say I'm a copyright abuser all you want. The company made those policies. You're on the YouTube platform now, and they told you, no, there are no violations, and that was fair what he did.
This is exactly what I was talking about earlier, because now thank you so much, YouTube, for not enforcing your own policies, because now this man unironically thinks he's right. Like, this decision has reinforced in his mind probably forever, like as if he wasn't an egotistical little narcissist enough already. Now, no matter what happens, even if YouTube does reverse this and decide to ban him, he's going to start crying and moaning and saying how, oh no, you're just listening to them, like you're not enforcing your policies correctly. And that's another problem, is now basically no matter what YouTube does, they're going to look like idiots. If they don't reverse this decision, they're going to look like idiots. If they do reverse it, they're gonna be the hero, of course, and it's gonna be like they should reverse it, because that would be the better outcome. But at the same time, then people are gonna give them flack, because then, oh, why did you say it was okay in the first place? And we go down that whole rabbit hole as well. Like, this is a serious issue, and YouTube has backed themselves into the tightest possible corner they could have, and they're getting absolutely flamed for it, which is a good thing.
What more do you need? You can slander me all you want, but YouTube has spoken. This is like officially YouTube. So upon complete and total defeat, you would think they'd be like, I apologize, I was wrong. I genuinely thought, man, I thought he actually copyright abused, but he didn't. So to be fair, YouTube has spoken, they investigated, so I'll let it go.
Thing is, though, we don't think you're copyright abusing. As outlined in YouTube's terms of service, you objectively were copyright abusing. You were just in extreme denial about it, and unfortunately now, because they've made this decision, now you're going to be justified in being in denial. I'm not even exaggerating when I say this. Whoever made the decision that this was not abuse of the system, even though it's literally written out perfectly in their own terms of service that copyright abuse is intentionally false flagging a video knowing that it's fair use. So here's my theory on what happened. I think that Quantum was playing dumb this whole time. Like, I think that that should be pretty obvious, but basically he was saying like, oh, this wasn't abuse of the system, I didn't abuse the copyright system, I just didn't know, or whatever. And I think he played so dumb that it actually worked, and the YouTube staff actually fell for it. Like, this is an absolute joke. And once again, I said in the beginning of the video, I'll say it again, even if you throw away the copyright abuse, he's still violating the terms of service because he is ban evading. So what is going on, YouTube?
They can't let it go. So they're all making their videos now, and they'll continue to make their rounds and all that fucking crazy crap. But what gets me is, like, Actman basically goes full on Karen, saying, like, I want to speak to your manager, Google, for the most part. In this response on Twitter where he goes, I'm going to use YouTube's own guidelines and throw the book at them. I did my homework, and there can be no misinterpretation of the facts. He has to be banned, otherwise this sets a terrifying precedent.
Could not have said it better myself. If Quantum is allowed to remain on this platform, then it, like I said earlier, it sets a terrifying precedent for what is going to be allowed in the future. And honestly, I hope that the Axeman doesn't just throw the book at them. I hope he puts it in a cannon and launches it at their faces at point blank range, because I think that's the only way that it's actually going to get into their thick skulls that Quantum actually did something wrong. We're going to have to surgically implant the rule book into their skulls for them to have any sort of semblance of what is right and wrong.
A terrifying precedent that you can't just snap your fingers, point YouTube in the direction of somebody you want to destroy, and they, oblige? They give you your fake cancel culture? They give in to you being hateful because you feel like the world revolves around you. You feel like someone needs to answer to every little talking point you have.
Dude, the irony is honestly out of the window at this point, with this dude basically calling other people egotistical. Like, are you kidding me? But no, that's not the terrifying precedent. The terrifying precedent is the fact that people like you are just allowed to get away with abusing the copyright system with no consequences whatsoever because you're good at lying and playing dumb. Like, this is honestly ridiculous.
Look at my uploads until this video. They're all about my tech stuff because I genuinely don't care. You can say what you want. It's your freedom of speech on the platform. But also, I didn't do anything, and I know I'm good, so I'm confident in just making my videos and doing what I do in my community.
This is the definition of irony at this point. This man says, oh yeah, guys, I just went back to my regular content. I actually don't really care about the situation so much. Then why did you supposedly, get a detective involved? Why did you reach out to family members and find people's real world information? And most importantly, why did you make an entire second channel dedicated to covering this controversy if you don't care, you actual brainlet? Also, the irony of him saying we can say what we want because we have free speech. Dude, honestly, I'm going to have a brain aneurysm in a second from how stupid this guy is. You have been doing nothing but either shutting off your comments, shutting off the like to dislike ratio on all your videos, or you've been censoring your comments and only allowing positive ones to go through on your community posts and videos. You can get out of here with this BS narrative that you are allowing people to have free speech. Like, get out of here. But let's not forget what started this whole situation, and that was the fact that he was trying to limit people's free speech on this platform by trying to falsely take down their videos because he didn't like what they were saying about him. You can get right out of here with this freedom of speech crap.
Now, again, I don't know you guys from Adam. You guys don't know me from Adam, so please stop pretending to know me and know what I'm all about. Like, this bullshit you did where you said I threatened your mother with doxing and violence, that was malicious as shit. I released that phone call. If I wanted to threaten your mother, I damn sure wouldn't call from my real number. I wouldn't have been polite and asked her to put me in contact with you. She wouldn't have called me back. There would have been a lot more happening. A phone call is a very weird way to threaten somebody. And that whole, the call in and of itself is a veiled threat of violence. No, it's not, though. People contact people when they're going through some crazy shit and they can't get in contact. And again, like I said, your number was the first public number listed, and I tried to reach you. It was disconnected, so I called your mother.
I've said this in previous videos, but why would you need to call his mother to get his number? Because you're trying to claim, oh, I was calling the mother to get in contact with you. You had contact with him already, you actual idiot. You had spoken to this man on Discord. And also, once again, you're bragging so much about posting that number that you live in Florida. You've admitted this yourself. And posting that number, posting the phone call, that is a violation of Florida's two-party consent law, which again can end you in prison for up to 5 years.
If I really wanted to dox your mother, it would have been very easy, because as you know, I have her number. Where have you seen that pop up in any one of my videos or any one of my posts? Nowhere. Where have you seen her name pop up? Nowhere. I'm not that kind of person, right? And even in the video where I released the surveillance footage of you, I literally, or the surveillance call, I literally, bleeped out your name, your legal name, to protect your identity, because, I'm not after doxing anybody. But again, this is the stuff that goes overlooked. Just like in my public statement video, how I disavowed those tweets you guys dug up, which, let's kind of touch on, the only reason you dug them up is because you wanted to reach in your back pocket and come hit me with something so terrible and so awful that I couldn't come back from you. You were trying to find something awful about me, not realizing I'm legitimately the victim of both identity theft and I'm the victim of being hacked on multiple accounts. You wouldn't know this because you're not me, and I don't have to share that kind of personal information with you because you feel like you're important. You're just some guy on YouTube. Like,
kind of like how the Act Man doesn't have to make it public knowledge that he's doing a police investigation against you because you're just some guy on YouTube as well, huh?
Okay, you're nobody. You're nothing, right? Like, it's weird. And this idea that, keeps getting propagated by Review Tech USA and all these other people, even though I've shown proof that my other channel was never ban evading, they ignore that entirely, refuse to cover the direct link on Mr. 4K Upscaler's channel proving it. They don't care about that. They also continue with this notion of, like, he said horrible, heinous things. Take every single thing I say out of context. And again, that's what this is about. You're creating a villain for the sake of creating a villain, and you're leaving no room for balanced and open dialogue.
That's right, dude. Literally everyone on the platform is evil and trying to make a villain out of you. You're definitely not actually a villain. No, every single person who disagrees with you, which is the majority of people on this platform, they're obviously just, again, they're just trying to make a villain out of you because they just hate you for no reason, right? Definitely.
But there's one mistake, one flaw, one weak spot in the armor of your plan. You didn't anticipate there being a fair and balanced party to step in with a fresh pair of eyes, look at all the evidence on the table, not just from you, but also from me, and then say, hey, listen, we've looked into this entire situation, and you're actually wrong, like really wrong about this guy. Like, you're really wrong. And again, upon hearing that, none of these guys that are making these slanderous videos are handling it well at all.
Well, if YouTube's going to handle it poorly, then so are we, so I don't really know what you expected.
They're just... This is a dark day for YouTube when these kinds of people get to stay on the platform. I mean, YouTube doesn't enforce their own policies, but they do.
Well, they obviously don't because it's written that what you did is not only ban evading, but also false copyright striking and abusing the copyright system, and they're not doing anything about it. So that is the literal textbook definition of not enforcing their own rules. So yeah, they are not enforcing their own rules, and it's actually pathetic.
And they're telling you based off of their investigation on their policies that I've done nothing wrong because I did nothing wrong. But now, if the roles were reversed and you would have gotten your way and I would have gotten terminated, you would have championed YouTube did the right thing and you would have boasted and you would have said, Quantum got what he deserved, I took him down. You would have been the worst person about it.
Yeah, you know what, dude? You're absolutely right. It's a terrible thing for people to celebrate when justice is dealt. Absolutely. You're 100% correct. If YouTube had actually enforced their policies and people were happy about them enforcing their policies, we would have just been terrible people for celebrating that. You're absolutely right. But you're not a terrible person for celebrating the fact that they're not enforcing their policies, right?
But here I am just literally, even now that I know, like, you lost, I'm not here antagonizing or taunting you. I'm here literally just saying, hey, listen, what y'all did was some total bullshit. You labeled me a copyright abuser because I used YouTube's tools correctly, which YouTube now confirms there was no abuse, okay? I mean, fuck. I mean, I could go down every list of every talking point, and there's no point in doing that. I think, personally, as creators, you should reinvent yourself. Do something fun. If you want to be a tech reviewer, review tech. If you want to do gaming, do gaming. Don't be toxic like this. This isn't healthy or normal.
Yeah, neither is abusing the copyright system, and neither is not enforcing your own rules. So I guess you and YouTube both know quite a bit about that, don't you?
Now, one last thing I want to touch on. Review Tech USA loves to say things like, oh, he calls me a pedo, and it's not, it's slander. I arrived at that conclusion after you saying you are a fan of a guy who says the age of consent should be lower for children, and then goes on video and says that child pornography should be legalized to be 100% ethically consistent because we have slave labor and all this other outlandish stuff. And then you all defend it saying it was an edgy take. You guys have a nasty habit when your boys and your friends get caught doing crap like mischief with the George Floyd post, with Act Man with this racist stuff that he's posted online, all these slurs and telling people to kill themselves and all that stuff. You guys have a really nasty habit, Review Tech USA using slurs, of saying, I apologized and Quantum hasn't, and that's the difference. You have a really bad habit of doing that.
So according to Quantum, it's a bad thing to apologize for a terrible thing you've done in your past. Well, that definitely explains why you still haven't apologized for anything you've done and why you just continue to lie about it. Because apparently the way you see it is if you apologize for it, you're apparently in the wrong.
Because, again, after an investigation, YouTube getting all the facts about those claims that you made against me, they've proven, though, that I didn't do any of that stuff that you're claiming. So, make your videos, have your fun, keep being jerks if you want, but like I genuinely think it's unhealthy at this point. You guys should let it go. Move on and just be creators. Like, you're making the platform a terrible place for others.
Yeah, for sure, dude. The people like Actman and Review Tech USA who are trying to hold people like you accountable for, saying horrible things and false copyright striking YouTube videos, and are now trying to get YouTube to, actually do something about it. They're the terrible people. They're making the platform a worse place, not the person who basically has manipulated YouTube to the point where they're going to not even enforce their own terms of service. You're absolutely right, dude. You definitely aren't making this platform a terrible place. It's the people who are trying to stop the platform from becoming a terrible place. It's all their fault, right? Yeah, 100%, dude.
With this kind of cancel culture move, and I'm glad YouTube saw right through it. Hey, if you want to follow all my videos and you want to watch everything I do, hey, enjoy the TV content. Peace.
And just like that, the video is over. Thank God. I think I'm about to go into cardiac arrest from pure rage. I have never been so pissed off making a video before. Like, you guys thought that I was mad making those other videos on Quantum. No, this takes the cake. And Glenny, I don't know if you're watching this or not, but in all honesty, like, you make me nowhere near as furious as this guy. You don't even make me mad at all. But either way, I saw you, Glenny, you commented on my most recent video. I'll get to you tomorrow, but I just had to cover this today because honestly this video was just my kind of way of venting about this whole thing. But that aside, YouTube, what are you doing? Ban this man now. I don't care what you think is right or wrong. Your policies are written out perfectly. You are ignoring them, and you are making this platform an unsafe place for creators. Ban this man and never allow him back, and never ever make this mistake again.